Today we're covering a much needed topic for everyone that could be considered a beginner all the way up to an expert, and that's takedowns, but more specifically, why your takedowns aren't working. This is an information-rich topic, but I think if we simplify it a little bit, it'll make it very easy and practical to practice and improve. Let's jump in. Mistake number one that you're probably making if you're struggling hitting takedowns is that you're allowing too much distance between you and your opponent. As you can see in this example, if I'm too far away, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to land these. And what do I mean by too far away? Well, oftentimes it feels a bit safer to shoot from further away, but you have to remember when you do that, you're much more telegraphed. There's much less chance of using a successful setup, which is absolutely necessary, and you're overextending yourself, which is probably going to result in you being sprawled on or reversed in some way. A lot of times, I think that we feel that it could be cool to shoot from far away. We see sometimes that high-level guys can pull this off, but if you're struggling to hit any takedown, you're not a high-level takedown artist. So that's not something that you should even be focusing on at this point. You want to get in close. You want to hit your setups. You want to make sure that you're not wasting energy on these takedowns because they can be a huge energy suck. So what you need to do is get in nice and close. I don't necessarily need to reach and touch my opponent. If I'm reaching, I'm too far away. I want to easily be able to touch my opponent from where I'm standing. If I can initiate collar ties or some kind of inside tie control, then I am probably within range for initiating a takedown. One takedown that I really like that forces you to get in nice and close is the double leg wrap. Now, this is set up very much like a normal double leg, but instead of stepping between their legs with your lead leg, as you can see in this example, I'm stepping to the outside and using my front leg to wrap their leg that I'm attacking. As my lead leg wraps their leg, oftentimes their lead leg, I'm locking out that leg that I have wrapped while driving my weight through his hips. This makes it impossible for your opponent to sprawl. Now, as he falls and begins to hit the ground, you want to make sure that you are obtaining some kind of dominant control, whether it's climbing into mount or hitting side control. I don't like to leave my head and my body on the same side of my opponent when I land on the ground. This is ingredients for getting choked. So what I like to do is I leave my head on one side and I drape my body over and across to the other side of his body, which essentially allows me to safely land in side control. If you struggle with takedowns, I highly recommend working this one because there's elements to this that force you out of your comfort zone, such as shooting from a closer range. There's no way you're gonna ever hit this one from long range. It forces you up close, thus making it a great practice opportunity. I want to take a second to give my sponsor, X Martial, a shout out. Now, I've been doing Jiu Jitsu a long time, almost a decade, 9 years. And I can tell you that when you find high quality no-gi gear, it's gold. This stuff is thick. They've got great design teams. These designs are not ironed on, so they're not gonna fall apart after a couple tournaments, after a couple washes, after a couple open mats. These are gonna stand the test of time. You buy through X Martial and you can keep your favorite no-gi top or shorts for years and years to come. Aside from having great pricing on all their products, it's also very comfortable. It fits well. You wanna look good when you're on the mats. You wanna feel proud of the person that you've built and the way you put yourself together. And your no-gi attire definitely plays a part in that. I know if I go compete, I wanna look my best. So if you want to look as good as me, and probably even better, go over to xmartial.com and grab yourself some gear. I can promise you that you won't be disappointed. All right, let's jump back to the video. Number two reason why you're probably not finishing or landing any takedowns is that you're not using setups. Even if your distance management is good, you're in nice and close, you're at the right range, if you're not setting up your takedown attempts, you're probably not going to finish these things. You might not even be able to initiate them. Without any kind of a setup, the action of initiating a takedown can be very telegraphed. You'd have to be extremely fast to be able to pull this off. And people can, it's definitely possible. But again, if you're someone who struggles with takedowns, don't worry about being super quick. Worry about setting up successful setups that allow for successful takedowns. A couple really easy, simple setups that work are face touching or face raking or tapping the back of the head, snap downs, fake shots. Things of this nature can get your opponent to blink or flinch. Now, there's a concept I like to focus on, which I call opportunity recognition, which means if I'm waiting for the desired action to take place, my opportunity is gone, such as tapping the face for a blink, if I'm tapping and waiting to see you blink, my opportunity's gone. I know that if I tap your face, you will blink. So I'm initiating and trusting the fact that you will blink. I'm tapping and almost simultaneously initiating my shot so that your eyes are closed when that shot breaks. If I tap your face and watch your eyes and make sure you blink, when I go to shoot, your eyes are back open. Opportunity recognition. You have to be able to stay ahead of the action that you're waiting for. Another example could be if I push you in attempts to get you to step back so that you step forward so that I can attack that lead leg. Now, if I wait for your lead leg to hit the ground and I'm watching your lead leg hit the ground, that opportunity is probably gone. I want to use opportunity recognition or understand that as that movement is generated, the action of you stepping, I know that your foot is going to land. I don't need to see it happen. I know it's going to happen. And I can almost meet your foot where I think it's going to go. Now, there's a ton of examples where this works in jiu-jitsu. I don't need to go over all of them, but you can start practicing it now and utilizing this to help further your progress. Human beings can be very predictable. I know that if I pull you, you may pull back. I know if I push you, you probably push back. These are all things that I can expect to happen. I don't need to wait for these things to happen. I need to understand that I need the movement for the setup. And then once I generate my part of the deal, then I can go ahead and initiate my shot because I can almost guarantee or predict that you're going to do what I want you to do. Opportunity recognition is a beautiful thing. And if no one, including your coaches or your training partners, has incorporated this into your training, it's something that you can start becoming aware of now. I'm not telling you that you need to be hyper vigilant about it and constantly focusing on it, but put it in the back of your mind as you're sparring, right? And as it starts to click, you may notice that your setups and your shot attempts become a lot easier. Mistake number 3, no commitment. Now, let's just say that your distance management is grade A. Your setups are phenomenal. But for some reason, you've got a little bit of a confidence issue once you get in on the shot, right? You get in and then you stop. Whether you're shooting a double leg or you're shooting a single leg, you get to your opponent's legs and then you don't drive. You're not committing to finishing the takedown. This is a big issue. I see this happen a lot. And I think, from my own personal opinion, that it is somewhat of a training scar or a confidence issue. I mean, this might not even be your fault if it is a training scar. Just the act of drilling takedowns will help build confidence. But if your only exposure to takedowns is shooting and getting stuffed, shooting and getting stuffed, shooting and getting stuffed, yeah, I could understand how that could create a training scar or a confidence problem. You get in on the legs and then you don't think you're going to be able to get it, so why even waste the energy? There's 2 things that I believe need to happen here. 1, you need more drilling. You need more drilling with a good training partner who's going to let you hit the takedowns with, let's say, 0 resistance. And then maybe as you guys progress, you can work up to 30% or 50% resistance, something to build that confidence so that you can see you can hit these things under pressure and not get stuffed every time. Part 2 is that you need to make a mental switch. So just like in life, you don't have control over what happens to you, but you have control of how you react to it. Yeah. This is the same exact concept as battling low confidence or maybe a training scar that has happened from takedowns in jiu-jitsu. You have to realize and almost become accountable that there is somewhat of a mental block when it comes to takedowns. Either you're being accountable of the fact that there was a training scar, maybe you're calling yourself out for having lower confidence, right? Not in a negative way, but just in a way that you're addressing it. You need to make that mental shift because you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it. I want you to flip that switch and remind yourself that if you can get it on the legs, you're 80% done. All you have to do now is drive. That's it. And I see so many times new guys can get in on the legs and they don't finish and they sit there. They shoot in and they stop and then they get stuffed. Or they shoot in, they stop, and they get reversed. It seems like such an obviously simple thing to do, yet I see people go years in jiu-jitsu. I see them potentially even make it up to purple or even brown belt, black belt even sometimes, and they're not able to hit takedowns. And they'll just say, I'm not a takedown guy. Well, you are what you say you are. If you're not a takedown guy and that's what you're projecting, okay, that's what you're gonna be. Have some accountability. If you wanna learn takedowns, cool. If you don't have a genuine interest in takedowns, well, then you probably wouldn't be watching this. So if you want to learn takedowns, you want to finish takedowns, commit. And whether it's the physical act of just driving through when you get on the legs or flipping that switch in your mind and committing mentally so that you can commit physically, that's what it's all about. And I'm sure that if you struggle with commitment, you start doing these things, you will notice that your success rate with takedowns will improve. And reason number 4 that you're not hitting any takedowns is a slippery slope. And that is because you may be trying to learn too much at once. If you don't have 1 or 2 go-to takedowns that work really well for you, why are you trying to learn a bunch of different things? It's very easy, trust me. I've done this. You go on social media and you see post after post of cool takedowns. You save it with the intention of learning it, right? And maybe even getting reps on a bunch of different takedowns. What did Bruce Lee once say? I fear not the man that has practiced 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man that has practiced one kick 10,000 times. It's the same concept with your takedowns. Why are you trying to learn a bunch of different fancy, crazy takedowns when you don't even have 1 or 2 that you can put in your back pocket that you can consistently rely on? Get 2 that you can call your bread and butter, whether it's, a double leg takedown and a single leg, or maybe it's an arm drag into something else, or maybe it's an ankle pick, right? A high C, whatever it may be, you need to come up and practice 1 to 2 takedowns consistently, almost to the point where you get sick of it. If you were my student, I would want thousands of reps on this takedown before you even start thinking about practicing other things. Now, it's one thing to get exposure to different takedowns to see what you like best, and I respect that. But once you've established which takedowns you favor, then you stick to that 1 or those 2 takedowns and practice. Become a madman with practicing those 1 to 2 takedowns. I have, with years of grappling experience, I've been grappling since I've been 14. I probably at this point have 2 to 3 that work really, really well for me. I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of reps of takedowns, and I only have like 2 or 3 that work really, really well. Okay. I have a handful that work kind of good, and I have a bigger handful, a basket full of takedowns that I can hit as Hail Marys, but not necessarily ones that I'd rely on, right? This is me being a brown belt after 9 years of jiu-jitsu and wrestling since I was 14. If you're just coming into this, just focus on 1 or 2, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's all you need. If you can hit 1 or 2 takedowns really well, you can become pretty dangerous on your feet. So as a recap, we're managing our distance, we're setting up our shots, we're committing, and we're not overexposing ourselves to a waterfall of information when it comes to takedowns. We're focusing on 1 or 2 that we like, that we can get good at. And I think once you start doing this, especially when you do it all together, that's when you really see the beauty of takedowns unfold. So if you have specific takedowns that you like, whether you've been doing this for a while or maybe you're just starting, drop them in the comments, because I always say I'm not the only teacher here, and many people coming through these videos can learn from you guys, and I always appreciate when you share your knowledge. With that being said, you know how we like to end them, sometimes backwards, always forwards. I'll see you in the next one.